We begin today with the crime ring targeting people across the city.
Officials have recently announced the arrest of 7 migrants in connection with a citywide robbery pattern that has plagued the streets. The videos of these crime sprees have been equally as shocking as their crimes have raised an air of uncertainty in the city of New York. In this video, I will show you the new footage of migrant gangs across America that is beginning to worry Americans. Migrant gangs linked to robberies.
Dirty footage here showing one incident where a suspect on a scooter grabs a victim's bag and drags him down to the sidewalk.
It all started with a series of brazen cell phone robberies that sent shockwaves through the city. Victims were targeted by criminals on scooters who would swiftly snatch their cell phones and disappear into the bustling streets. These incidents left victims traumatized and the community in fear. Surveillance video footage captured one incident that perfectly illustrates the audacity and violence of these criminals. In the footage, we see a suspect on a scooter approaching a victim walking alone on the sidewalk. Without warning, the suspect grabs the victim's bag, forcefully dragging them to the ground. It's a terrifying sight that highlights the level of aggression and disregard for the safety of others. As the number of cell phone robberies continued to rise, the NYPD launched a full-scale investigation to put an end to this crime spree. The department dedicated significant resources to track down the perpetrators and bring them to justice. Their goal was not only to recover stolen property, but also to ensure the safety and security of the city's residents. The investigation led the NYPD to an apartment in the Allerton section of the Bronx, believed to be a stash house or headquarters for the criminal operation. In a daring raid, police officers accompanied by Mayor Eric Adams stormed the apartment and made multiple arrests. The alleged ringleader, Victor Parra, however, managed to evade capture and remains at large. Police have issued warrants for 3 other suspects and believe there may be more individuals involved in this elaborate robbery ring. The NYPD's efforts have not only resulted in the arrest of several individuals, but have also led to the recovery of some of the stolen goods. This is a significant victory for law enforcement and a step towards bringing closure to the victims who have been targeted by these criminals. In an official statement, NYPD Deputy Commissioner Tarek Shepard emphasized that the law applies to everyone, regardless of their immigration status. He stated, "It doesn't matter if a person is a migrant, asylum seeker, or a long-term New Yorker. If you break the law, it will be investigated, and it will be handled by our criminal justice system."
The small number of people are breaking the law and having a huge impact on our public safety, and that is why we zeroed in on them.
The arrests made in connection with this citywide robbery pattern have shed light on the challenges faced by law enforcement. The suspected migrants involved in these crimes have very little paper trail, making it difficult for authorities to authenticate their identities and track their criminal history. This lack of information has posed a unique challenge for investigators, but it has not deterred their determination to bring these criminals to justice. Mayor Eric Adams, alongside NYPD Commissioner Edward Cabin, addressed the issue of migrant crime in the city. They emphasized that while the actions of a few criminals should not overshadow the positive contributions of the larger migrant community, those who commit crimes will be treated as any other criminal in the city. Mayor Adams stated, "This is not about migrants and asylum seekers. It's about criminals who have committed a crime. These are criminals that we brought to justice. The majority of the victims targeted by these criminals are women who were simply walking alone when they were attacked. These incidents have instilled fear and anxiety in the community, especially among the most vulnerable members, such as the elderly." Bronx resident Pamela Colin expressed her concerns, saying,
"I'm very scared, and my mother, she's right there. And it's very scary for the older people too. It's not right what they're doing."
The criminals' weapon of choice in these snatch and grab robberies has been scooters and mopeds. These vehicles provide them with the speed and agility needed to swiftly approach their victims, snatch their belongings, and make a quick getaway. The NYPD has been actively targeting the use of illegal mopeds and scooters in the city, seizing over 2,500 of these vehicles last year alone, a 74% increase from the previous year. Mayor Eric Adams has been vocal about the use of mopeds and scooters for criminal activities. He stated, "Mopeds and scooters are being used for crimes and harming innocent people. I want to be clear again, the law is coming for those who use mopeds illegally. The city's law enforcement agencies are determined to put an end to the use of these vehicles as tools for criminal activities. The crimes committed by these individuals have had a significant impact on the city of New York. The robbery pattern, which started in November 2023 on the Upper East Side, has spread throughout the city, including the transit system. Victims have not only suffered the loss of their personal belongings, but also also the emotional trauma that comes with being targeted and violated. The impact of these crimes goes beyond the immediate victims. The city's residents have been left feeling unsafe and vulnerable, questioning their own security as they go about their daily lives. The NYPD's efforts to apprehend the individuals involved in this robbery pattern have been crucial in restoring a sense of safety and restoring the trust of the community. Mayor Eric Adams addressed the issue of migrant crime in the city, emphasizing that the actions of a few criminals should not overshadow the positive contributions of the larger migrant community. He stated, "This is a national problem that's impacting cities, and our message is a clear one. Over 175,000 migrants and asylum seekers that have arrived here, this is 12 people. So any New Yorker that looks at those who are trying to fulfill their next step on the American dream as criminals, that is wrong." The arrest of these individuals involved in the citywide robbery pattern is a significant step towards making New York City safer for all residents. However, the fight against crime continues, and law enforcement remains vigilant in their efforts to protect the community. Concerns about migrant gangs. In recent years, big cities have become the battleground for a new and terrifying criminal phenomenon, the rise of migrant super gangs. These highly organized and ruthless criminal organizations have infiltrated urban landscapes, leaving citizens in a state of fear and insecurity. Originating from various countries, these super gangs have mastered the art of blending into their surroundings, making it difficult for law enforcement agencies to track and apprehend them. Their ability to seamlessly integrate into the fabric of big cities has allowed them to establish a strong presence and carry out their illicit activities with impunity. Recruitment methods employed by these super gangs are as cunning as they are manipulative. They prey on vulnerable individuals, often migrants seeking a better life, promising them wealth and security. Once lured into their web, these individuals find themselves trapped in a cycle of violence and crime, unable to escape the clutches of their criminal overlords. The crimes committed by these super gangs are wide-ranging and shocking. Drug trafficking, human smuggling, and extortion are just a few of the criminal activities they engage in. Their operations span across multiple big cities, leaving a trail of violence and destruction in their wake. It is disheartening to witness the impact these super gangs have on our communities. Innocent citizens live in constant fear, while local businesses suffer from extortion and intimidation. The rise of these migrant super gangs has created an urgent need for collaboration between law enforcement agencies and governments to effectively combat this growing threat. The rise of migrant super gangs in big cities is a concerning and alarming trend. Their origins, recruitment methods, and the crimes they commit paint a grim picture of the challenges we face in ensuring the safety and security of our urban communities. The targeting of big cities by migrant super gangs is not a random occurrence, but rather a result of various factors that contribute to their presence and activities. One of the key factors is the socio-economic conditions that drive individuals to seek a better life in urban areas. Many migrants come from impoverished backgrounds where opportunities for education and employment are limited. The allure of big cities, with their promise of prosperity and a brighter future, becomes irresistible. However, upon arrival, they often find themselves facing the harsh reality of limited job prospects and a struggle to make ends meet. This lack of opportunities creates a fertile ground for the recruitment efforts of super gangs. These criminal organizations exploit the desperation of migrants, offering them a way out of poverty and a chance to provide for their families. The promise of wealth and security becomes a powerful tool in their recruitment arsenal. Furthermore, the presence of established organized crime networks plays a significant role in the targeting of big cities. These networks provide the infrastructure and support needed for super gangs to thrive. They offer protection, resources, and connections that enable the criminal activities of these groups to flourish. The interconnectedness of these factors creates a vicious cycle. Migrants, driven by socioeconomic factors, flock to big cities in search of a better life. The lack of opportunities and the presence of organized crime networks make them vulnerable to the recruitment efforts of super gangs. As a result, big cities become the epicenter of their criminal activities. The New York migrant crisis. In recent years, New York City has become a beacon of hope for migrants from all corners of the globe. One of the main driving forces behind the large numbers of migrants coming to the city is the dire situation in their home countries. Let's take a closer look at some of the key factors that have led to this influx. First and foremost, we have the case of Venezuelans. Venezuela, once a prosperous nation, has experienced a devastating economic decline under an authoritarian socialist government. The country's finances have teetered on the brink of collapse, leaving its citizens civilians in dire straits. In 2019, the Trump administration imposed sanctions on Venezuela's state-owned oil company, further exacerbating the economic crisis. These sanctions were briefly eased under President Biden, but the damage had already been done. As a result, millions of Venezuelans have been forced to flee their homeland in search of a better life. According to Response for Venezuelans, a joint effort between the International Organization for Migration and the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, more than 7 million refugees and migrants have left Venezuela as of February. This staggering number makes it the second largest external displacement crisis in the world. The majority of Venezuelans have sought refuge in other countries in Latin America and the Caribbean. However, in recent months, an increasing number of Venezuelans have made the long and dangerous journey to the United States, with New York City being a popular destination. But why are so many Venezuelans choosing to come to New York City? The answer lies in the city's reputation as a melting pot of cultures and opportunities. Many Venezuelans have family or friends already residing in the city, which provides them with a support network and a sense of familiarity. Additionally, New York City offers a diverse range of industries and job opportunities, making it an attractive destination for those seeking employment and economic stability. While Venezuelans make up a significant portion of the migrants arriving in New York City, they are not the only group seeking refuge. In recent months, a large number of migrants from countries in Africa have also made their way to the city. These individuals are fleeing conflict, persecution, and economic hardship in their home countries, hoping to find safety and a better future in the United States. The journey for these African migrants is often perilous and fraught with danger. Many of them embark on long and treacherous journeys, crossing multiple borders and enduring harsh conditions. After crossing the southern border, thousands have made their way to New York City with the help of officials in Texas. Governor Greg Abbott has sent thousands of migrants to New York City in a campaign to provoke outrage and force the federal government to tighten border security. However, it's important to note that Governor Abbott's buses only account for a small fraction of the total number of migrants who have arrived in the city. Some migrants have also made their own way to New York City, driven by the hope of finding safety and a better life. The reasons behind the large numbers of migrants coming to New York City are complex and multifaceted. Economic decline, political instability, conflict, and persecution are just some of the factors driving individuals to leave their homes in search of a better future. New York City, with its reputation as a diverse and opportunity-rich city, has become a beacon of hope for these migrants. However, the challenges faced by the city in accommodating and responding to this influx are immense. In March, the city announced the creation of a 24-hour center to welcome migrants and a new agency to help coordinate the arrival of asylum seekers. These initiatives were aimed at streamlining the process of receiving and assisting migrants, ensuring that they have access to the necessary resources and support upon their arrival. However, the city's response has not been without its challenges. As the number of migrants seeking shelter has continued to rise, the city's shelter system has become increasingly strained. By August, more than 57,000 migrants were staying in city homeless shelters, according to Ann Williams Isom, the deputy mayor for Health and Human Services. This has put immense pressure on the city to find suitable accommodation for these individuals. To address the growing demand for housing, the city has proposed using a variety of locations as emergency housing for migrants. This has included housing people in hotels, emergency tent shelters on Randall's Island, school gymnasiums, and even office buildings. The city has been creative in its approach, exploring unconventional options to provide temporary shelter for the migrants. In fact, the parking lot of a state psychiatric hospital is now being considered as a potential location for emergency housing. However, many of these proposals have faced pushback from residents. Concerns about the impact on local communities, overcrowding, and strain on resources have led to opposition to the use of certain locations for housing migrants. In some cases, the city has been forced to retreat from its initial plans due to public resistance. For example, at one point, Mayor Eric Adams seriously considered housing migrants on cruise ships, but this idea was ultimately abandoned. In total, the city had opened 194 shelters for asylum seekers by early August, highlighting the scale of the response required to accommodate the growing number of migrants. The challenge of finding suitable and sufficient housing for these individuals has been a constant struggle for the city. Mayor Adams has also taken steps to address the legal obligations and requirements surrounding shelter for migrants. He has asked a judge to relieve the city of some of its legal obligations under its unique right to shelter law. In the spring, he used an executive order to suspend some of the requirements under the law, anticipating an influx of new migrants. These measures were aimed at prioritizing families with children and ensuring that there is enough space available in the shelters. However, the response to these measures has not been without controversy. This summer, dozens of single adult migrants, many from Africa, were left sleeping on the sidewalk outside an intake center in Manhattan after officials stated that the shelters were at capacity. This sparked outrage and raised concerns about the city's ability to effectively respond to the needs of all migrants, regardless of their family status. In recent months, the Adams administration has also taken a different approach by discouraging migrants from coming to New York City. Flyers have been distributed at the southern border, warning migrants that there is no guarantee they will receive shelter or services in the city. The flyers highlight the high cost of housing in New York City and suggest considering other cities for settlement in the United States. This shift in messaging reflects the strain the city is facing in accommodating the growing number of migrants. Furthermore, the city has assisted migrants in leaving New York City for other counties in New York, a move that has sparked controversy and angered officials in other parts of the state. This effort to disperse the migrant population across different areas within the state aims to alleviate the burden on New York City and distribute the responsibility more evenly. The city's response to the migrant crisis has been a complex and evolving process. While efforts have been made to provide shelter and support for migrants, the challenges of finding suitable accommodation, addressing public concerns, and managing the legal obligations have posed significant hurdles. That brings us to the end of this video. For more interesting videos like this, click on the cards on your screen.